Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into all the events that led up to the YUUZAHN VONG War from Star Wars Legends. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. So, tens of thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, the YUUZAHN VONG were a force-sensitive species dwelling on the sentient living world of YUUZAHN Tar in a distant galaxy. At some point, they were caught up in the war between the Silentium and the Abminor droid species. Threatened with extinction, YUUZAHN Tar granted the YUUZAHN VONG the ability to develop new weapons and technology from living things, eventually defeating their droid enemies and driving them from their galaxy. After this victory, however, the YUUZAHN VONG continued waging war on other species in their galaxy, conquering a number of worlds, and also began warring amongst themselves. At some point, the two most powerful tribes, one led by Warmaster YUUZAHN and another led by Warmaster Steng, clashed. The resulting conflict, known as the Kremlivian War, saw the destruction of many planets. It came to a close around 15,000 BBY, when YUUZAHN used a technique that was later named after him, to drop a moon on the planet YUUZAHN, which was allied with Steng. The tactic destroyed the planet and killed many of the leaders of Steng's faction, who were stationed on YUUZAHN. Steng was also killed in the battle, bringing the war to an end. The war left the YUUZAHN VONG's galaxy ruined. The YUUZAHN VONG living homeworld of YUUZAHN Tar was one of the worlds that had suffered. The war had turned the YUUZAHN VONG to violence, and YUUZAHN Tar stripped the bloodthirsty species of their ability to touch the Force. The YUUZAHN VONG began worshipping pain and espousing a philosophy of violence and death to all who opposed them. After thousands of years of ferocity and destruction, the galaxy had been stripped of its resources and was in ruin. The YUUZAHN VONG departed their galaxy to wander the intergalactic void. The earliest confirmed contact between members of the galaxy and the forces of the YUUZAHN VONG was retroactively discovered to be the first recorded Sylvith encounter, shortly after the Freedom Nad uprising of 3998 BBY. Sylviths were later discovered to be shaped bioforms sent by Praetorit VONG as a form of probe for the pending invasion. As early as 3963 BBY, at least one YUUZAHN VONG scout had reached the outermost regions of the galaxy. In that year, a group of Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders under Canderous Ordo encountered a rock-like vessel later known as the Yorick Stranha, disguised as an asteroid in the Crispin system. It fled beyond the edge of the galaxy once discovered. Also, during that general time period, it is a near certainty that a member of the YUUZAHN VONG's Shaper caste made contact with Regent Tophorusis of the Argazdan Redoubt in the final days of the Khan's disorders, and aided in the design of the infamous slave pits of Lord. Between 229 and 89 BBY, a seed of YUUZAHN Tar, released by the planet in the Kremlivian War, arrived in the Gardav Rift. It would become the living world Zonima Sekot. Prior to 32 BBY, the YUUZAHN VONG Shaper Omni added Yamask tissue to his brain. As a result, he became the first force-sensitive YUUZAHN VONG in a millennia. However, the effect it had on his body was to shame him among the YUUZAHN VONG, using the telepathic powers granted to him by the Force. However, Omni was able to influence Shamira Jamain, the head of Domain Jamain, who took Omni as his familiar and jester. In 33 BBY, a lost YUUZAHN VONG warrior was held prisoner aboard Coghive 7, where it soon became the reigning champion in the station's violent and gladiatorial matches. It was ultimately killed by Darth Maul. The next year, at the time of the invasion of Naboo, an advanced force of YUUZAHN VONG, termed Far Outsiders by the planet's inhabitants, discovered Zonima Sekot. Noting the similarity to YUUZAHN Tar without drawing the connection, the advanced force attempted to colonize it. However, when the YUUZAHN VONG attempted to settle, Zonima Sekot's biosphere killed off the YUUZAHN VONG flora and fauna, provoking outrage from them. Although Sekot attempted to negotiate with them, they began an assault upon the planet. After 2 years of Sekotan defense at a high cost, the assault was called off after the arrival of the Jedi Knight Vergere, who demanded the attack cease in return for going with the YUUZAHN VONG. Agreeing with the ceasefire, the YUUZAHN VONG force departed with the Jedi toward the unknown regions. When he learned of Zonamus Sekot, Supreme Overlord Carole began to waver. The YUUZAHN VONG soon learned that Zonamus Sekot was no longer in its original system, and there was no evidence that the planet had been destroyed. Worried about the possibility of once more encountering Zonamus Sekot, he developed the opinion that it would be the best move on to another galaxy. However, Germain, under the influence of Omni, and with the support of some of the more aggressive YUUZAHN VONG dominants, launched a coup. Carole was murdered, and Germain took his place, ensuring that the invasion would go forth as planned. In 27 BBY, during the initial stages of the Outbound Flight project, the upper echelons of the Republic government, including Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, were aware of the Far Outsiders, at least in the abstract. Around this time, a YUUZAHN VONG scout force in the unknown regions fought with a Chiss fleet led by Admiral Arlani. Soon after this battle, the Chiss force commander Mithra Nerundo was convinced by Palpatine and his Sith alter ego Darth Sidious to destroy the outbound flight, lest it draw the Far Outsiders into the main galaxy. In 25 BBY, a group of YUUZAHN VONG landed on the obscure planet Bimil and began surveying the surrounding sectors for their coming invasion. After the formation of the Galactic Empire in 19 BBY, Imperial scientists ran into the YUUZAHN VONG on that planet. Although it was not known for sure if the upper echelons of the Imperial government knew about the YUUZAHN VONG, Emperor Palpatine retained a degree of knowledge of the Far Outsiders, and justified the accelerated growth of the Imperial military after the Clone Wars as preparation to combat extragalactic threats. Furthermore, sometime between being dispatched back to the unknown regions in 3 ABY, at the time of the Battle of Hoth, and his return in 9 ABY, Mithra Anundo, now serving the Empire as Grand Admiral Thrawn, encountered another advanced YUUZAHN VONG force hiding in the unknown regions. The threat of the advancing invaders was one of his primary motivations to reunify the Empire, as he felt that the Empire stood a much better chance against the YUUZAHN VONG than the New Republic. The YUUZAHN VONG of the advanced scouts shared the sentiment that the Empire would be a strong foe. After the formation of the Imperial Interim Council in 11 ABY, following the death of Palpatine, YUUZAHN VONG agent Nom Anor was tasked to infiltrate the council. He did so and manipulated its leader, Xandal Caravis, arranging the deaths of many counselors and furthering the inner sign strife that led to a fatal fracturing of the Imperial remnant. It was roughly around this time that the YUUZAHN VONG began meddling in the high politics of the Sisruvi Imperium. They installed one of their own, Athena, into a high military position, and manipulated the rise of power of the Kiramek with the goal of eventual use of the Sisruvi in their invasion. Around 22 to 23 ABY, contact was made between a representative of the YUUZAHN VONG and the Miskara of the Vigari Empire, who agreed to aid in the future invaders' preparations for war. The Vigari, who believed the YUUZAHN VONG would annihilate their enemies, began using YUUZAHN VONG biotech in exchange. In 24 ABY, YUUZAHN VONG agent ymca infiltrated the exegol Society, stationing himself at the exegol 4 base, located along Vector Prime at Belkaden. So what'd you guys think of the beginning events leading up to the War of the YUUZAHN VONG? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, link is in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.